Mesa was that women were considered Kadas Mesa or Horus child or Haru child, right? Because if you study ancient African religion, right, see a lot of you think that Jesus Christ was the first resurrected, right? But let me come back to the Hosea for a minute, right? Alright, that's what I want to do right here. Right? I'm going to read something. Let's see. I want to read something. I'm going to read two parts. I'm going to tell you where I'm coming from. I'm coming to the book of coming forth by day and by night. Right? That's the African literature. Right? This is written by Karinga. Right? And I have one written by Burgess. Where is it at? Where's the one of my Burgess written there? Where is Burgess? There you go. Right? Find this at Barnes and Nobles. Clearly find the Barnes and Nobles. Pause that for 1 second, man. 1 second. Alright, so I'm back into the Hosea, right? Alright, we've been containing Hosea. We're dealing with the book coming forward by day and by night. And I showed you, they call it, and Barnes and Noble, they call it the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And the reason these Europeans call it the Egyptian Book of the Dead, because when they went to Africa, right, they basically found writings and papyruses amongst burial tombs, right? And finding the books amongst the burial tombs, right? These Arabs have found it. They called it the Book of the Dead because it was around people that was dead, right? Which in actuality, that brings me to a real serious point. When I show you these artifacts and stuff of that nature, and the Tutankhamun mask, it really represents grave robbery. No more than if right now, me and my mans and them, right, would go and dig up Ronald Reagan and put him in our house and have him for all the people in the hood to come around and see Ronald Reagan. You know how fast they would lock us up? I can't believe they dug up Ronald Reagan and put him on display. They're barbarians. Did you believe them niggas? They just dug up Ronald Reagan.
Is Ronald Reagan dead?
Ronald Reagan is dead. So if I go to his burial site and dig him up and say, no. We're just teaching our kids European history, and we want to show the great Ronald Reagan. And we put them on tour and take them to Africa and show all the African people about Ronald Reagan. They would have it fit. They would literally go to war for that. So I just want to know, how come it's right for them to go to Africa and dig up African bodies and put them on display in museums? Just wanted to make that point, right? So the Egyptian Book of the Dead, right? Matter of fact, now you call the Book of the Dead, it's called the Book of Coming Forth by Day and by Night, right? And it's part of the essential reading at Barnes and Nobles. And this is what it says. It says, the Egyptian Book of the Dead is by far the most sensational book handed down from the priests of ancient Africa. They say ancient Egypt here, right? But I say ancient Africa, right? I didn't get into the point where did I read that point where they talk about how it was changed, how the Greeks changed? No, I'll get to that, right? Ancient Egypt. And after nearly 4,500 years, it still intrigues modern readers with its imaginative insight into the universal human condition and the desire for the blissful afterlife. So these Africans, I told you, they was talking about the afterlife, right? Originally, the Egyptians, the white called Egyptians, the Africans, right, called it the Book of Going Forth by Day. But it was in fact not a book in the modern sense, but rather anthropology of religious illustration and hieroglyphic writings that assigned the living spirits of mummified Africans. But the point I'm making is, right, in these pages I will show you how they borrowed, copied, stole all the information from the Africans. So I'm coming here, and then we was talking about Jesus, right? And how most people think that Jesus Christ is the first Savior. But not according to the Egyptian Book Coming Forth by Day and by Night. I'm going to take Karinga's version and read from it. It says, I think it's chapter 7. It says, I am the Great One, the Son of the Great One. I am the Fiery One, the Son of the Fiery One, whose head was restored to him after it had been cut off, right? The head of Osiris, the risen Savior. See that? Talks about Osiris, the risen Savior. That's like a mental shock to those of us who are Christians and thought that Jesus Christ was the first risen Savior. I just read how it tells you the book goes back, the papyrus go back at least 4,500 years, right? Understand that these days they give for the dynastic periods, the Africans did not represent themselves in dynastic periods. Am I right or wrong about that?
Right.
So, and the dates that they have conveniently correspond with their Bible. Meaning you can't have Africans reading and writing before the beginning of the world. And they all stand on that. To the end of 3000 BC is when the Egyptian civilization started. They stand on that, right? Truth of the matter is ours go back to 10,000, 5,000. I mean, listen, got something called the, what they call it, we dealt in terms of cycles, right? You're talking about 25,827 would be considered to the Africans a great year, right? We know of at least 4 or 5 great years, 25,000 cycles, right? Understand this, it takes you 25,000 years, 827 days, right? To sit back and you have to watch this happen, right? They call the stellar mythos, dealing with the stars, right? So you have to watch the sun, right? Go make a complete revolution around the Milky Way, right? Through all the stars, right? For 25,000 years. That makes one resolution, right? So after y'all sit there and watch that, right? First of all, you had to have enough sense, right? To give this information, because the average lifespan is what? Maybe 100 years, maybe 150, maybe 200 years. If ain't no white people around, you probably can live for 300 years, right? Because they come in and just do what they do, right? If you want to use the Bible, Methuselah and them, they only live for 900 years or whatever, right? So for 25,000 years, you had to have enough sense to stay put and to have somebody to chart this information for 25 and keep passing on from daughter to son or son to daughter, however you want to do it, right? And keep passing that on, right? And that's for 25,800 some years, right? So right there, that's a long time. Then to make sure that the information that you've recorded is even right, you got to sit back and do it again. You got to have record keeping. You have to have organization. I could barely get to this lecture. I was unorganized trying to find my information. You talking about these people had the ability, talking about these little short people now, these little 12. You can go to Albert Churchwood, Primitive Man. Yeah, what's it called?
Primordial Signs of Modern Man.
Yeah, not that. No, not that one. It's called The Evolution of Man. No, Evolution and Origin of Primitive Man by Albert Churchwood, right? And he talks of how these little people, little 12 Hutu people, little Africans, right, spread throughout the whole world and took their stellar mythos with them. How they was created the stellar mythos, the star calendars, the 25,827 year period, right? So you talking about another 25,000 year period where they sitting there watching that, right? Then you see we had the second one. Now the third one, right, when you really record it because you know it's in place, right, and you checking your information again to make sure it's all right. So you talking about great years, right? Within a great year, you have a great summer, a great winter, a great spring, and a great fall. You know what I'm saying? So them 25,000 year period breaks down to about, I say, like 5,000 periods. So you got so we call those ice ages. So we've been around through ice ages, right? Now the whole planet wasn't frozen, just those upper regions. Northern region, you know what I'm saying, was definitely frozen over North America and all that, come to Europe, all that stuff up there, was kind of frozen, right? So we record all these things. So that shows you just how far we was recording things, right? So that by the time you come to this, right, you talking about at least 11,000, 10,000 years of written history that they know about. Now you know they build civilization on top of civilization. You know they built the Aswad Dam, right? And on top of building the Aswad Dam, they're dealing with another building project now, right? To just totally destroy black history again. They keep doing it. You know, they just keep adding these dams, messing up, doing what they do to Earth. They just doing what they do. But it's okay. But you talk about ancient civilizations go back so far that it's just amazing how far these things go back. But for sure, without a shadow of doubt, these writings predate any of your Hebrew writings. That's for the Hebrews. We got the information. We can show you. It's not a problem. all